So I'm Marley, and I guess it was New Year's 2009, and I was actually with Kylie in Collington on New Year's Eve, and my friend was actually in this plane crash, and he died, and that, I guess it was a month or two later, maybe it was in March, so maybe 3 months later. My sister was doing this project for school, and she was taking a picture of me sitting in our wood stove room in my dad's house, and she took this picture and we downloaded it to the computer as soon as she took the picture to see how it turned out, and there was this like giant orb in front of my face, and it had all these like intricate lines and speckles and whatnot inside of it. So I plugged this microphone that I had into my computer, and I said, Sydney, we're going to ask some questions. So we asked some questions, and we asked a few questions, and then one of the questions I asked was, what is this you? And I think I said his name. His name was Jacob. So I said, is this you, Jacob? And we played it back, and you hear this faint whisper that says yes at the end. And I remember I got really excited. Sydney started like bawling and freaking out. She didn't know how to handle it. It was really funny. But so that happened. We got the recording on the microphone on the computer, and then in April I went to this horse-related event because his mom was a horse person like I was, and he had actually learned to ride riding my horse. So I went there, and he usually would have been there with his mom, and he wasn't, of course, so I was leading my horse past his mom's trailer, and I saw him in her car. And so, not thinking about it, being so used to him being there, I turned around and I waved or whatever, and then I went leading my horse, and I was like, what the heck? I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I turned around and he wasn't in the car anymore. And nothing really happened after that.
That's a cool story, though.
Yeah, but it happened over like a 4-month span, so that's kind of interesting.
I own and bought the house, my grandmom's house. I grew up with my mom and grandmom. A couple years after my grandmom passed away, I'm living in her house, the house I grew up in, and by myself. And middle of the day, walking through the house, and I hear my grandmom's voice call my name clear as day, almost to the extent that I think I may have even answered the voice back, immediately realizing she had been dead for a number of years, and looked around the house just to see what the noise was or if anybody was around. Didn't find anybody, so that was basically it. But I heard it clear as day, just like she had been standing in the same room calling my name to tell me something.
Hi, I'm Kelsey, and this is the story of the first and only time that I ever went to a sleepover. So, the sleepover took place at this girl's house, and it was an old house, and it had a full basement that was unfinished, and it was really creepy already. There was a bunch of stuff down there, and like just a bunch of weird stuff, and it had this like cage in the bottom. It was really bizarre. So when I walked down there and they were like, you're going to sleep down here, I was not happy. There was this part of the basement that was even more unfinished, and that's where the cage was. It was going across it, and it had all this weird stuff hanging on it. So anyway, it's nighttime, and they tell us we all have to go to bed, and I get in my sleeping bag, and I just have this really weird feeling, and I was really creeped out, but I thought it was just because of the creepy scenery and being in an unknown place. So I'm laying there and having a really hard time going to sleep, and I get this really bad feeling, and I look over toward where the cage is, and the darkest point of the basement is over there. And there was only one light on, and it was this little night light that was more over toward the entrance of the basement, which is the farthest point from the cage. And I see something start to glow, and it didn't really make sense because it was glowing like this gold color. And all of a sudden, it was like all of a sudden I could make out the shape of someone standing there, like a black silhouette, and like they're holding something that's glowing gold. And then it was like all of a sudden I could make out the shape of their head really well, like they had a golden crown on. And it was glowing, and it was making it so I could see the full outline of their body. And they were just standing there, and it seemed like it was getting bigger and bigger. and I didn't know what to do. So I just freaked out and I looked around and nobody was awake. Nobody was noticing anything. Or at least they were pretending not to. I don't know. And it seemed like it was getting bigger and bigger, like 8 feet tall, like huge. Like its head was about to touch the ceiling. And like it was getting closer to me. And the skin like my skin got chills and my hair raised up and I didn't know what to do. So I just covered up with my little sleeping blanket and sleeping bag and just tried to go to sleep. And eventually I did fall asleep and I didn't ever see it again. But I think that's probably the only reason I ever remember that sleepover, because I didn't ever want to go to another one again. I didn't stay friends with that girl after that.
Hey, I'm Caitlin, and I'm going to be talking about a story that me and one of my friends experienced when we were driving home from a concert pretty late at night from Charlotte to Asheville. And it was like 2 in the morning, I think, and we were driving along on like a divided highway, and so there was like a median that was like, it was grass though, it wasn't paved. And we were just driving and talking and listening to music, and then all of a sudden, like, my eyes like went from like looking straight ahead to like off center and looking at the grassy area, and there was like a pillar of light. There wasn't really any light sources that I could think of that would make what seemed to be like a perfectly round pillar of light in just the middle of nowhere. And I was kind of thinking about that, and then my friend turned to me and she was like, "Did you see that?" And that really freaked me out because I thought that maybe I just imagined it or something, but the fact that we both saw it and were like, what could it possibly be? It really freaked me out. Me and my friend experienced while we were... Damn it, Annie.
Sorry,